In this video, we're going to add some codes to implement PayPal into our application. But first, we need to add a new field into the reservation model to check whether the payment process for a reservation via PayPal is completed or not. Now open your terminal and under Alien folder, we're going to say Rails G migration, add status to reservation, and status would be boolean. And then we need to run rec db migrate. And now let's restart the server. Next, we need to run the ngrok server as well, so just open a new tab by press Command T, or you can go to Cell, New Tab, and Command T as well here. Now, if you are a Windows user, you can open another command Windows, and that would do the same thing. So here, I need to go to the download folder, because remember that we download the ngrok into the downloads folder. So from the download folder, I'm going to type .ngrok http n3000. Now, as you can see, here is the link that we're going to publish our localhost. So we got this one. So from now on, everyone on the internet can access your local via this link. So HTTP is this one, and ngrok will help us to redirect us to our localhost. Now open our web browser and go to localhost 3000, and here's what we get, which is no surprise at all. If you open another tab and insert this link, so that means everyone on the internet can see your website right now if they access to this address. Now go back to our terminal. If you stop the ngrok server, or if you stop your local server, so from now no one can access to this via the ngrok link here. This is really cool tool that's make our development process a lot of fun by sharing your stuff to people immediately. Next, we're going to use this feature to test our PayPal process. In our project, open F, controllers, and reservation controller. So as you might know, we need to modify our create action. Alright, so here we're going to check if the user create a reservation successfully. Then we'll send a request to PayPal, just like this. So first we need to check if the reservation was created successfully. Then we'll send a request to PayPal. Otherwise, we just redirect back, and here we say alert. Let's say, oops, something went wrong. Alright, so for some reason you can't create a reservation, then you just redirect back to the room page and with the alert. Now for request sent to PayPal, first we need to create the values, and these values include those parameters, the business, and just leave it blank for now, and I'll show you. And CMD should be xclick, and for the upload, let's say 1. Notify URL, just leave it blank for now. And for amount, the amount would be reservation.total. For item name, we just say reservation.room.listing name. Item number should be reservation.id. and quantity, we'll say 1. Right. The last thing we want is return URL, and just leave it blank for now. And if everything going correctly, then we just redirect to. Alright, so we say values dot to query. Now for the business, here we're going to add the business email that we create in a sandbox PayPal. So just open your PayPal developer dashboard, and under the accounts, you click here and click profile. And here's the one that we're going to use, so I'll just copy this one. And back to our project, just paste here. Now for the notify URL and the return, we're going to add the anti-rock link. So open your terminal, and here is the one that we're going to use, so I'll just copy this one. And back to our project, just paste here. And here we're going to say notify. Alright, we don't have this icon yet, but we're going to create in a bit. And for the return, we're going to use this one. And actually, we want to return to our your chips action. Alright. Next, we need to create the notify action, and it should looks like this: def notify. And under here, we're going to say params dot permit underscore. So that means we're going to permit all PayPal input params. Now for the status, we're going to create a new variable name status, and this one get params payment status. Alright, so this payment status parameter returned by PayPal, and we're going to say render nothing. So in here you can get params info returned by PayPal, and you can do whatever you want based on your business requirement. And in our scenario, we want to update the reservation status to completed. Otherwise, just delete the reservation from the system. So here we're going to say reservation equal reservation.find params item number. Alright, so the item number actually is the reservation ID here. So that's why we can use it to get a reservation. Now we're going to check if status equal completed. Then we're going to say reservation.update attributes, and we're going to update the status to be true. Alright. Now otherwise, we just destroy the reservation and say end. Now you might ask where the completed come from. So if the payment made by PayPal is completed, and that means the reservation is successfully, so we just make it stated as true. Otherwise, we're going to delete that reservation. Now for the notify action, we don't need to authenticate user here. So back on top, we're going to say accept notify. Save it. Oops, sorry, I think I got a typo in here. Yep, so that's alert. Save it. Okay, everything looks good. Now, because we just created return URL and notify URL for PayPal, so we need to tell Rails about these URLs. Open config routes.rb. Now, right under here, we'll say post notify and host your chips reservations your chips. Because PayPal will send requests to those URLs along with parameters, and that's why we set them as post. Now restart the server and make sure that your ng-rock server is running. Open the web browser and go to a room, and here we're going to try book a reservation. So for example, let's book this date. Now as you can see here, after I click book now button, it just redirect me to the PayPal sandbox, right, which is a link. And here's a command that's encrypted based on the value we passed to PayPal. Also, here we got the description of the room, right? We got item number, which is ID, which is the reservation ID, right? So the total amount that we're going to pay, and the quantity is 1, which is good. And now for the email, we're not going to use this email. Instead, we're going to use the testing email that we created before. Now, if you go back to our PayPal sandbox in the dashboard, accounts, here is a personal email that we're going to use. And here, if you want to click profile, and we're going to copy this one. And here, if you want, you can change the password for this email. And remember funding, here's what we got. Close it. Now, back to our PayPal page. We're going to paste this one. And here's an email, the dummy email, PayPal that we're going to use. Now the password would be this, and click login. Okay, so everything looks great so far. Don't worry about this one because it's just a dummy data. What you need to do now is just click pay now. Alright, so we just make a payment successfully, and it's just going to say pay to demo coffeestop and fancylater@gmail. Alright, now if you click on this link to return it. Okay, so we got an error. Now the return URL from PayPal is correct. So what went wrong? This is because when PayPal sends requests back to our application, by default, Rails will have a security checking process to prevent this outside request. Now, as PayPal is a trusted source, so we're confident about this, and we're going to tell Rails that is okay. Just make an exception for those requests from PayPal. Back to our project, open reservation controller. And now for the notify, right? So here we're going to say protect from forgery and accept notify. Right, and we're going to do the same thing with your chips. Alright. The reason we're doing that for notify and your chips only because here is a link notify and link to your chips, and PayPal is going to request to these two actions. That's why for these two actions we need to set protect from forgery for notify and your chips only. Before running again, you might want to open SQLite and delete this reservation. Save change. Now back to our web browser and maybe try to go to rooms 1 again. Here we want to create another reservation. So click here, check in, check out, and book now. Now and enter the password and make sure this one is a demo buyer email. Login. And now you click pay now. Right, so after that we need to return to our store. Now if everything's working correctly, it should redirect us to your chip. Awesome, so we just got our link working correctly. Alright, so now you got your chip as well. Beautiful. Now let's try to make another reservation. So under here, we select this date, for example, and book now. Now let's say for some reason our internet connection disconnected, or we close this browser accidentally, or we don't want to make a purchase at this date. Then what's happening? If you open the reservation table in the database, now as you can see, we've got two dates. And for the status, we got 1 is 2, that's mean completed. And this reservation is not completed. Right, so at the moment we click book now button, a new reservation is created in our database, but the status is null. So now for some reason, if we can't make a purchase or the internet connection disconnected, this reservation is still in the database, except the status is null. Then if you open the web browser and go to your chips, here you will see two reservations, and one is completed, which is this one, and this one is not completed, but still displayed in your chips, which is incorrect. Now we need to display only the reservation that's completed. Back to our project, under reservation controller, and here in your chips, we need to make a condition is where the status equal question mark, and for the question mark, we're going to say true. Open a web browser and hit refresh. And here we go. Only the reservation completed can be displayed in your chips. And we're going to do that with your reservation as well. In our project, open F, Views, Reservation, and your reservation. Right, so under the loop here, for each reservation, we need to check. So I just close this one. Easy for us to follow. Right, so under here, we're going to check if reservation dot status, then we're going to display. Alright, that's it. Alright, so that's done with the PayPal process, and as you can see, it's not difficult to do at all. If you want to know what sort of parameters that PayPal return to our application, you can open the console and look for the post your chips or even the post notify. Now as you can see here, we got the different parameters, and for the text, the address street, and first name, and notify version, and so on. Yep, so for example, the payer email, that's it. So from here you can get information that you need from PayPal. If you want to learn more about those parameters of PayPal, you can go to PayPal Developer and Documents. Now you can go to Accept Payment, Payment Buttons, Integration Guide, and Variable Reference. Or simply you can Google the PayPal HTML Variables Payment Standard. The other important thing that I would like you to know is the ng-rock server. Now if you want to stop the ng-rock, you can press Ctrl C to quit. To open it, just type ng-rock http and 3000. So as you can see here, whenever you restart a server, the ng-rock server, it just creates another link for you. So you need to update this link to your reservation controller. So that means you need to copy this. And back to our controller, reservation controller, you need to replace this one with a new address, just like this. The very tricky question in this task is, what are we going to do with this uncompleted reservation? Now think about a scenario in which there are two different clients creating a reservation for the same room and the same date range. To deal with that, we need to create a reservation for one client to lock down the date range so other clients can't select. In reality, we might give that client 5 minutes to complete the payment process. And after that time, if they can't make it, we should consider that reservation as uncompleted one, and we're going to remove that one. This project is quite complex, and it is out of the scope of this project. but I would like to open this question to everyone as a challenge for this sprint. So feel free to raise any solution and discuss. That's it for this task. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.